As most people who have collected Redline Hot Wheels know, the rear-loading Beach Bomb is considered the holy grail of Hot Wheels. The rear-loading Beach Bomb was never sold in stores. Mattel, wanting to sell track sets to kids buying the cars, discovered that the rear loader was a poor performer on the track due to the bus's narrow profile, which impeded the performance of the power boosters used to send the cars around the track. The model was modified into the side-loading Beach Bomb, which fixed this issue by adding material to the sides which allowed the model to be grabbed by the power boosters and shot down the track. Mattel had produced several of these rear loaders and gave these away to the employees. Some gave theirs to their kids, others set them aside and found them years later. The original Beach Bombs grab huge prices, with the pink Beach Bomb being sold to Bruce Pascal for $72,000 a couple years ago. Given how rare, sought after, and expensive these original cars are, you can imagine reproduction versions abound. And this is what I have today, sent to me by an Instagram user named Swapping Parts, that he found on eBay. The seller of this kit, which I'll leave a link below, alleges that these parts are all old inventory. I'm not so sure of that. However, this base does look like it's been sitting around for some years. Since I don't own a real Beach Bomb, it's hard to make any real comparison to determine the accuracy of that statement. However, I will say the base, body, interior, and windshield all look great. Since this is not a restoration and instead a build, I will need to go in a different order than normal for this model. I'm going to start by putting in the axles first. I can tell you already that these axles do not appear to be original. The bearings are not as smooth as the original bearings. When I put on the wheels, I find that there's a lot of play between the bearing and the axle. So these are either subpar repos of bent axles, or they are really worn out originals. Now is probably a good time to tell you that this is a $20 kit, so I have no huge expectations. If you get this kit, you can always upgrade the axles by stealing them from another original model, a side loader for example. After putting on the wheels, I put the car together real fast to see if it would roll, and it does, though not great. Given that most are not going to send this car down the track and instead place it in a display, the subpar axles are probably not going to be all that big of an issue. Moving to the body now, I need to drill out the two posts with a drill bit from a 2-56 drill and tap set. Once the holes are drilled, I will then use a tap to place the threads in the holes. When done with this, I will then test fit the small screws that come with this kit to be sure everything goes together. This is an important step because you do not want to be doing this after you've put hours of work into your model and then risk breaking off a tap in the post and ruining all your work. After putting the model together and putting in the repo boards, I found that there was some small flashing in the back that needs to be removed, so the boards would lay flat. This material is easily removed with some small files, though care should be taken not to mar the polished surface of the body. Now that the car goes together and everything checks out, I can now go about painting the body. There are a lot of options when painting this car, but really the most iconic is pink. And Swapping Parts wanted creamy pink to match Bruce Pascal's Beach Bomb. Watch my Redline restoration how-to video if you're interested in watching how the paint is applied. Here's how the car came out after about 2 days of curing. It looks good, but it has a slight haze to the surface. This can be removed by polishing the paint with a buffing wheel and some polishing compound to give it a mirror-like shine. After polishing, I put the car back together. And here's the final result. So what can I say about this kit? Well, for $20 it's a pretty good deal. The only real complaint I have is the axles are junk. There's so much play in them that it's difficult to get the car to sit level. But once again, if you're planning on putting it in a display, it may not be that big of a deal. I did not polish the base in any way. This was done to add verisimilitude to the model. Also, the headlights were not painted. This is because Bruce Pascal's was not painted, and most aren't. I want to thank Swapping Parts for sending me this kit and for throwing in an extra one for myself. Please let me know below if you plan to give this a try and what your thoughts are on this one. And always, thanks for watching.